Quer desenvolver os talentos da sua equipe e potencializar os resultados da sua empresa? Conte com a expertise do atendimento corporativo do Senac São Paulo, que já capacitou mais de 1 milhão de pessoas e profissionais de instituições públicas, privadas e terceiro setor. Construa uma equipe altamente motivada e capacitada e destaque-se no mercado. Entre em contato, acesse sp.senac.br/corporativo e saiba mais. Quer saber? Senac.
This is the James Golden Show with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Welcome, my friends, to another Saturday morning with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley. So glad to be here with you. Like to welcome in our brand new affiliates, KYRO, out in AM and FM in St. Louis. If you would like to be part of the program this morning, you can give us a call. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. 800-848-9222. James Golden, known affectionately as Mr. Snerdley or Bo Snerdley, here with you. Always a pleasure to be with you on Saturday. For those of you new to the program, we usually have some regular contributors to the program. We're hoping that our very own Princess Diana will join us this morning. She has been out on vacation, busy traveling around her vast territories and provinces. America's small caffeinated mom, Rhonda Schrock, will not be here this weekend. She's attending to family matters. She is usually here. But you are here, and that is also very important to us. Again, if you'd like to be part of the program, 800-848-9222. Where shall we begin? I know a good place. Let's talk about Tim Walz, who has been nicknamed, and the nickname has resonated to the point that the left in America is upset. The nickname Tampon Tim has been accorded to him for the policies that he ran in the state of Minnesota, where he introduced feminine products in boys' bathrooms. There's another deeper issue that has surrounded his campaign the past few weeks. A few weeks? No, it hasn't been that long. This is all going by so quickly. But that issue is over military service. Today, there's a story in the Washington Post that Democrats are moving to avoid a swift vote redo in attacks on his military service. And along with that, you can find this story also at Fox. You'll find it at the Daily BS. You'll find it a lot of places, especially by the end of the day. There has been a walk back. And one of the things that I have said consistently throughout this, ever since the issue of his military service came up, is that Tim Walz served for over 20 years in the National Guard. That is not something that I take for granted, take lightly. That is something that I have a deep amount of respect for. Any person that serves in the United States military that is willing in our volunteer service to serve their country is something that deserves to be respected. I have also said the only issue that I have is if he misstated his service. He did not serve in Iraq. He did not serve in Afghanistan. He did not serve when his National Guard unit got word that they would be deployed somewhere in that time frame, either before or after, depending on which news coverage you read, he decided it was time to put in his retirement papers. Some of the troops that were in his unit, I've read reports where they said that he promised them he would join them. He did not. Okay, this is a personal choice. The man served 20 years, over 20 years in the service. Up to him when he decides to retire. To me, that even wasn't the issue. The only issue, and I kept saying this, and I kept getting conflicting reports, is if he misstated his service. Tim Walz signed a law into place regarding stolen valor, the phrase that indicates that people lie about their service. Speaking of that, quick aside, CNN's Breonna Keller has now, apparently there's a Fox News story, began to walk back a nasty little swipe that she took at J.D. Vance, questioning whether he served honorably. That is now being walked back over at CNN DNC. But today we do have word. And before we deal with the stories, we actually have Tim Walz. Soundbite number 4. Tim Walz speaking, and this is in context. He's also talking about gun control. He's talking to a crowd in Minnesota. And at the very end of the soundbite, he talks about his service. And this is what it sounds like.
Hope woke up like many of you did 5 weeks ago and Dad said, Dad, you're the only person I know who's in elected office. You need to stop what's happening with this. I'll take my kick in the butt for the NRA. I spent 25 years in the Army and I hunt. And I gave the money back, and I'll tell you what I have been doing. I've been voting for common sense legislation that protects the Second Amendment, but we can do background checks. We can do CDC research. We can make sure we don't have reciprocal carry among states, and we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
We can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war. He did not carry weapons in war. Let's listen to it one more time. Pay attention to his last sentence. One more time. Kev, let's just...
Hope woke up like many of you did 5 weeks ago and Dad said, Dad, you're the only person I know who's in elected office. You need to stop what's happening with this. I'll take my kick in the butt for the NRA. I spent 25 years in the Army and I hunt. And I gave the money back, and I'll tell you what I have been doing. I've been voting for common sense legislation that protects the Second Amendment, but we can do background checks. We can do CDC research. We can make sure we don't have reciprocal carry among states, and we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
Okay. So today, Washington Post, and again, you can find this sourced in many other places, a spokesman acknowledged that Walz misspoke in 2018 when he explained his support for gun regulations by saying he carried weapons in war. Misspoke is not sufficient. Misspoke is not going to satisfy the critics of Tim Walz. It is not an explanation that is going to fly. I misspoke. No, no, you lied. It is not a misstatement. It is a blatant lie. Now, paying attention to the rest of the quote, I mean, listen to the things that he's against. He's against he's against the reciprocal arrangement between states to let people that exercise their Second Amendment rights guaranteed by the United States Constitution to carry weapons. He doesn't want, if you have a license in one state that allows concealed carry, he doesn't want there to be reciprocity arrangements between states where you can carry that weapon in another state. That in and of itself is something that should be discussed. But the fact of the matter, the biggest fact out of all of this is that everything with regard to combat service that J.D. Vance has been saying, that the Trump campaign has been saying, that other military people have been saying, that he lied about his service record, has now been proven correct. Tim Walz did not tell the truth about his service record. That, according to many of the statutes around the country that have been put in place to address this idea of stolen valor, that qualifies as stolen valor. Period. And there's no way around it. There's no explanation that is suitable. That will not stop the left. You have people out there like Pete Buttigieg, and for everything that I could say about Pete Buttigieg, and there is a lot, he also served his country. But Pete Buttigieg has gone on the defensive, trying to tear down J.D. Vance. It's not enough to say that he served. He has to tear down someone else's service. The only campaign by tearing people down. Well, the Democrat Party has been tearing Donald Trump down for years. So let's not pretend, Mr. Buttigieg, that quote-unquote tearing somebody down is something new in politics. You're trying to do the exact same thing to J.D. Vance. Only J.D. Vance, Mr. Buttigieg, has been telling the truth. And you can't walk that back. I don't know whether this is going to impact the voters, the voting base in the Democrat Party that supports Tim Walz. There are still multiple objections to his selection as the vice president. I have some of those stories. In PSNBC's resident race hustler, Joy Reid, had some things to say. We'll get to that. There are others that are speaking up. The idea that the Democrats threw Josh Shapiro under the back wheels of the bus that they threw Joe Biden under. Joe Biden took the front wheels. Josh Shapiro took the back wheels of that political bus the Democrats used to run over people. Is still being discussed. And Shapiro's trying to be a great soldier. I had a deeply personal choice to make. The choice wasn't his. Democrats made the choice. Kamala Harris made the choice to listen to her radical left wing and throw Josh Shapiro under the bus. We'll get to that. We'll get to that and more. Folks, they have been projecting in the media since the announcement that Biden was out, Kamala was in. They have been projecting invincibility. And the mainstream media has played along with it. Story after story about the joy and how excited Democrats are, the money that they've raised. Nothing about the fact that Kamala Harris has not even yet announced what her platform is. What is she running for? What does she intend to do? We know that everything that she promised to do, like ban fracking, she's running away from. But what is it that Kamala Harris is promising America? They have been running on a puff campaign. A campaign hyped up by the media that it's not Joe Biden. We got rid of Joe and we have Kamala. We are exuberantly happy. Well, the bubble is about to burst. And this admission that Tim Walz lied about his military service and claimed to be a combat veteran when in fact he was not, may provide a deep opening for this bubble burst to accelerate. James Golden, Bo Snerdley with you here. Again, telephone numbers if you want to be part of the program this morning. 800-848-9222. A little bit later on, Lizzie Radaboli will join us. We always have a fun discussion with Lizzie. Later on, we're hoping to hear from Princess Di. And, of course, your telephone calls at 800-848-9222. Kevin, what you leading off with?
This is Edie Gourmet. Blame it on the rain. Blame it on the Bossa Nova. Rain on my mind in New York right now.
Do you even remember Edie Gourmet? Do you have a visual on who she is or was?
I know who she is, but 1963 was a little bit before my time.
Yes, indeed.
Just a touch.
She was a big deal. She and Steve Lawrence, big deal. Edie Gourmet. And this, of course, was when the Bossa Nova was taking over as the popular music trend in the early 60s. Part of the music explosion that happened in America. And it was an explosion, folks. We had the English invasion going on. We had Motown going on. We had the influences from Brazil. And also, jazz was moving into high gear. Bebop was out. There was this new thing coming in. The birth of the cool had already begun. There was a huge explosion in the world of music, and we are so glad to be able to cover just a taste of it here and there on the program. 800-848-WABC. James Golden Snerdley. Keep it right here.
This is the James Golden Show. The James Golden Show. 4 words that mean business with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
August 10th, 1964. The Beatles have 4 of their singles re-released in the United States. This was one of them. Along with this one, Do You Want to Know a Secret? Please, Please Me, Twist and Shout. We may hear some of that a little bit later. I wanted to get to the phone calls, but I want to give our first caller a chance to actually express himself. So I'm going to cue him up. Adam from Mineola, Long Island, will be the first call. Adam is not a Trump fan. Adam, to say that he is not a Trump fan is an understatement. But I see that he wants to talk about Mr. Tim Walz, who is being called Tampon Tim in some circles. And we will do that. We're going to take a short break. When we get back, we'll deal with Adam. Also, we'll listen and check in with that Joy Reid thing. On another note, non-political, do you know that those astronauts that went up on Boeing Starlink, do you know how long they have to stay there?
No, but they've been up there for a while now, right?
They're not going to be able to come home until next year.
Oh, boy.
Next year, February.
Do they need to do like a supply drop to them, or are they okay up
They
there?
did a supply. They just did one. They sent some fresh clothes up. They sent some other things. I tell you what, doesn't give a lot of confidence.
I'd be requesting a case of Jack Daniels on that supply drop.
I'd be requesting they send up another vehicle from another manufacturer.
Yeah.
We'll be back. James Golden, Bo Snerdley. Keep it right here. Do not go away. More fun, more frivolity, and more news coming up. Keep it right here.
The James Golden Show. It's politics, but theater of the mind with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
On this day in 1985, the Dire Straits peaked at number 4 across the pond with this one. Quick shout out, that drum riff and the drum track on this, Omar Hakim, my dear friend and brother, who I've known since we grew up together, we're kids. Omar is one of the most respected drummers in the world. And not just a drummer, composer. You know that nice little music riff we played going into the break? Yeah. George Benson's Being With You. Omar wrote that song. He composed that song. That song won a Grammy for Benson.
That's incredible.
Yeah, always one of my favorites. Yeah, he has an incredible range. And he played on so many other hits like Let's Dance, David Bowie, and on and on and on. But this one, amazing. And of course, the video for this song was the first one to be aired when MTV Europe started its network back in 1987. I don't even know whether MTV plays music anymore. I don't think anybody else does either. Okay, we promised him, and here he is, ladies and gentlemen, our first call of the day. The lines are full. If you'd like to be on with us, give us a call at 800-848-9222. Don't let a busy signal discourage you. When Adam hangs up, you can give us a call. There'll be at least one line open, and we'll get some calls in and out of the program all day while we're here for the 3 hours that we're here. Adam in Mineola, New York. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, sir. I just wanted to say that
yes,
that busy phone kills me. That busy phone, I can't take it, man. I be trying to call all the time. Bam, bam, bam.
Well, you're here. You're here with us now, and I'm glad you made it through. Adam, are you exuberant over Tim Walz and Kamala Harris? Have you bought into the hype that this is, oh, nothing can stop them? They're just knocking it out all over the country. It's all over. They're going to just win in a landslide. Have you bought into the hype?
No.
Oh, good.
But I don't like the way you naming somebody Tampon Tim. I don't like that.
Did I name him? I'm sorry. I thought I said it is a name that he is being called by some of his critics. I didn't call him Tampon Tim. But, I mean, it's a deserving name, don't you think? I mean, before we get into the other stuff, do you honestly want to tell me, Adam, that you think that tampons or other feminine menstrual products should be placed in boys' bathrooms, boys in elementary school, in junior high school, in high school? Do you honestly think that that is appropriate?
No, I don't.
Okay, he does, and he had it implemented in Minnesota, and that's why people call him Tampon Tim. Now, James Carville went on a horrific rant about it. At the end of it, he suggested that people use those tampons for things that they were not intended. But aside from that, that's why the name has attached to him, and that's why it resonates.
Okay. I would like to switch the subject, sir.
Please do.
Our favorite person, Mr. Donald J. Trump.
Okay.
Reached on his cell phone just after Mr. Trump's news conference at his regular lunch spot at Sam's Grill in downtown San Francisco. Mr. Willie Brown, 90 years old, said the whole story was false he had never ridden in a helicopter with Mr. Trump, and he had never nearly perished in any helicopter ride. Why is y'all pushing that fake stuff about Trump and Willie Brown?
Well, first of all, I'm not pushing anything. I haven't even talked about that story because to me it's irrelevant.
Okay.
It's an irrelevant story. The same way that I don't talk about Willie Brown in detail about his prior relationship with Kamala Harris. And you know what I'm talking about. And you know what I'm talking about.
Well, I wouldn't focus on another man's penis, no way. Where his penis goes, I wouldn't do that. That's dumb. Ask Trump and them why do they focus on somebody's penis and where a man's penis goes. I don't get it.
Stop. Oh, stop. Family show here. We don't focus on that sort of stuff anyway, unless it's part of a news story. But so, I mean, you're raising the issue about this helicopter ride. If Trump made a mistake about it, okay, no big deal. He made a mistake. He mixed Willie Brown up with someone else. So, okay. Big deal.
That's not a mistake. That's not a misstatement like he was just talking about. That's a damn lie.
Even if you... Okay, fine. So even if you think that that's the case, what's the point? Is that nearly as significant as Tim Walz lying about his military service? And can you deny any more that Tim Walz... You heard him. Can you deny that Tim Walz lied about his military service?
He does talk fast, man. That could have been a misstatement.
Would you like to hear it one more time?
No, I don't.
Okay. He said it, and he was very clear in what he said. Okay. I don't see how you can say that was a mistake. Now, do you think it's going to... By the way, why do you think Kamala Harris didn't go with Shapiro?
I tell you, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why she did that, but hey, I got to ride with her regardless, sir. You know.
You have to ride with her. Why? Let me ask you another question. Okay, do you think that Kamala Harris is ducking the press? Why hasn't she done a press conference?
I don't know neither, sir. I keep it real.
I don't know. And that's why I love you, Adam, because you keep it real. And you and I can disagree on things, but you keep it real. And that's one of the reasons I always enjoy speaking with you. Okay, let me ask you another question. What is Kamala Harris? Why does she want to be president? What does she stand for? What is she saying that she's going to do for America?
Well, I guess she's going to finish doing what Joe Biden was going to do.
You mean destroying the economy? You mean destroying the economy?
How are they destroying the economy? The stock market broke records. How are they destroying the economy?
Do you go to the grocery store? Let me ask you another question, because you do keep it. Are they still higher than when Joe Biden came in office?
Everything changes, Mr.
Yes, but I'm asking you a question, though. When Trump came in office, gas prices went down. Right now, are you paying more for gasoline when you gas up your car? Are you paying more right now than you did when Trump was in office?
No president controls.
But you're not answering my question. Are you paying more? And policy does matter. His policies against fossil fuel, his policies with this Green New Deal are responsible, like closing down the pipeline to make sure that we have the resources to bring energy in. Those policies do matter. So let me ask you again, Adam. Are you paying more for gasoline prices today than you paid when Donald Trump was in office? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you paying more for groceries right now than when Donald Trump was in the White House?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all. Now, I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to convince you to vote for Donald Trump, because you're not going to. You can't abide it. I get it.
I just want to say one thing, sir.
But you never also answered one, and I'll let you say one thing. I'm not trying to be rude to you. Never am.
All right.
What does Kamala, not what you guess she stands for, what has Kamala Harris said that she stands for?
She really hasn't said it yet, sir, as you notice. All right, she really hasn't said it yet. She's just let you know that putting that criminal, that felon, that rapist back in office would not be good for the country.
Now, be careful, because George Stephanopoulos is being sued for calling him a rapist, too. That he is not, and he was never convicted of rape. So please don't put that lie out there. And I know it's intentional on your part. You're not like Stephanopoulos. But that's not true. So let's retract that. He, by the way, has not been convicted yet. The conviction becomes official at sentencing. And right now, the sentencing is in doubt because of the ruling from the Supreme Court. So that is also not 100% factual. So let's take those two things out of it. Not a criminal. Three things. Not a criminal, not a racist, and not a convicted felon. Now, we know what Donald Trump stands for. He wants to fix the borders. He wants to bring down the prices on the things that you pay for, like he did the last time. He wants to actually make sure that our military is in great shape. He's already said that he's in favor of not having a digital currency run by the federal government, and so many other things. Why don't you know what Kamala Harris stands for yet? And I'm not blaming you. Because you're right. She hasn't said it to anybody. Why not, Adam?
Sir, I have been convicted of felonies in Nassau County, New York. Once you blow trial, you are a convicted felon. The handcuffs go on. I'm not trying to hear that he ain't a felon because he
That's sentence. That's when you get sentenced. And when you get sentenced, look, this is real. This is why people that pass away between the time that they are found guilty and the time that they are sentenced, if you happen to pass away during that time, it's vacated. There's no record of you being a convicted felon. I'm telling you the truth. Adam, I have no reason to lie with you. And in fact, I'll ask a lawyer, because I am not a lawyer. So why don't we do this? We always have lawyers in the audience. I'll ask a lawyer to give us a buzz-in and weigh in on this. That way we both get the information. I'm telling you what I believe, but I am not a lawyer. And what I've read, but I am not a lawyer. So we'll have a lawyer call in and weigh in on this. But you still haven't answered the question. Why hasn't Kamala Harris told you, Adam, and everybody else what she stands for?
I guess she's waiting to do it, sir. I mean, you know she's controlled by the people that's controlling us, and she's going to do it when she's ready to do it. That's all
she's controlled by the people that are controlling her.
Her back.
Adam, Adam, we have found, my friend, a point of agreement. She is controlled by the people that are controlling her. Well said, Adam. Adam, I got to boogie down the road here, my friend. Thank you for the call. Always a pleasure, Adam, to speak with you.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you. James Golden, a.k.a. Snerdley, here with you. More of your calls coming up, 800-848-9222. Player, right? This player. Baby. Baby, please don't go. Baby, please come back. Why are we playing Baby Come Back? Kevin with Player, one of my favorite songs of the era.
It is Peter Beckett's birthday, lead singer and guitarist for Player, or Playa, as you just said.
Playa.
1977. I think a one-hit wonder, right? The Baby Come Back. Do they have any others?
No, they had a few. They had one or two after this, but this was their biggest one.
Yeah, this is in every commercial these days. They must be making a boatload of money off this song.
Yes. James Golden, Snerdley with you. Your telephone calls coming up, 800-848-9222.
The James Golden Show. The James Golden Show. It's politics, but theater of the mind with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
1947, Ronnie Spector was born on this day. Co-founded and fronted the group The Ronettes. This was their big hit in 1963. Of course, she was married to Phil Spector. That was in 68. She later wrote about the marriage, said it was full of psychological torment. He sabotaged her career. She passed away in January of 2022, 78 years old. I met Ronnie Spector. I was at a record session in the Hit Factory, and she and Phil Spector came in. I would just say this. Back in the day, Ronnie Spector was fine. Fine. Super fine. Had it going on. I didn't get a chance to speak to her that much. I don't even, who remembers even, maybe just a hello, nice to meet you, whatever. But gorgeous woman, and very nice as I recall. Ronnie Spector, heavenly birthday today. James Golden with you here. Your calls welcome at 800-848-9222. Okay, it's time. Joy Reid. Now, folks, this is a long cut. Joy Reid weighs in on the selection of Walls. Joy Reid from PMS-NBC. Now, Kevin, who put the sound together for us, admitted that he felt tortured. And so I made an agreement with Kevin that when we play it, since this will be the second time that he has to hear it, that when he's had enough, he can just call it and just tell us he's had enough, and maybe you'll feel the same way. But let's check in with PMS NBC's Joy Reid, the selection of Tim Walz.
What do you make of the Walls pick from the windows to the walls?
That's it. I'm done.
Oh, come
from
on.
The windows to the walls. Come on. All right.
Come
fine.
on.
All right. Fine, fine.
A little more.
Is who VP Harris has picked to be her running mate. What do you think? Let me give you my quick take. I got to be honest and keep it real. This is not the pick that I expected that she would make. It did come down to the final three, as we understand it, and I thought she would go astronaut. Keeping it real. He, to me, would have been the safest, most conventionally safe pick.
Why?
White.
Why?
Super white, like, mayonnaise sandwich on Wonder Bread, right? From a border state, he could have made a strong argument for her handling of the border. A very empathetic wife, Gabby Giffords,
what
who's
argument?
a victim of gun violence, so a huge advocate on that issue. He's a twin. Like, it would have been a cool story to tell. He's an astronaut. I mean, what's cooler than an astronaut, right? It would have been a cool story to tell at the convention. So I thought that would have been the easy way to go. I thought Shapiro actually would have been the riskiest pick.
Why?
For many reasons. He would have angered so many groups.
Why?
From educators who oppose his positions on vouchers to
he likes school
environmentalists who would
choice.
have been angry about his positions pro-fracking.
Well, Harris is pro-fracking now.
Protesters from, Jewish Voice for Peace to Students for Justice in Palestine to people like Mark Lamont Hill and Linda Sarsour, activists who've been very clear that the one pick that would blow up everything and make the convention be a set-it-off moment would have been picking Shapiro. He would have angered so many different groups who would have been angry. Kelly, too, because Kelly has an issue with labor.
And blow up the convention.
Shapiro was the one that would have caused the most anger because it would have distracted the whole conversation right back to talking about Gaza and the campus protests, and that would have been like the center of attention. And had she picked Shapiro, it would have distracted the whole conversation, and I think it would have blunted a lot of the momentum because the young folks, it would have just thrown cold water on all of the excitement that you've seen young people have about Kamala Harris's candidacy. I did have a fellow governor of his say to me off the record that they thought he would be the strongest pick and he would have the strongest relationship.
I thought TikToks, this is a TikTok video. Aren't they supposed to be short? This is the longest. Yes. This is a 5-minute TikTok. I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, oh my God, when is this going to end? And I hover over the screen, and the bar, like the status bar, is only a quarter of the way there at this point. And I'm going, it's 6:30 in the morning when I'm cutting this, and certain things annoy you a little bit more when you haven't had your coffee and you're waking up early on a Saturday. And I almost lost my mind listening to her talk about this. Having a good story is a good thing for a VP. He was an astronaut. That's pretty cool. Give me a break. This is ridiculous. Anyway.
That's Joy Reid. Well, the line, we already got the best line of the entire thing. He's super white. Like white mayonnaise on white bread.
I take offense to that, by the way.
Yeah, and this is the way this woman thinks. Everything is through the prism of race. And you can hear the open hostility that she has. Yes, that's right. That's Joy Reid and Shapiro. I'm hoping people really paid attention to that. Shapiro would be a distraction. Nothing about his merits. He's a distraction. Why? In so many words, she said it. He's a Jew. And we don't want that distraction coming into the convention where all of a sudden we have to talk about Gaza and we have to talk about things because the pro-Hamas contingent of the Democrat Party is so strong. I got news for you. The protesters are going to be there anyway in Chicago. You know what I read too? I read that there are migrants in New York now that are sleeping on the streets in tents in New York because the money's running out. I suggest that all of them, the homeless, illegal immigrants, the pro-Hamas protesters, go to Chicago. Camp outside the DNC convention. Get some attention. James Golden, Snerdley. Hour number 1 in the can, hour number duo coming up. Keep it right here. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us.
Including a shattered windshield and deployed airbags. 36-year-old Kevindale nurse was arrested on Thursday morning after a federal indictment was unsealed charging him with arson. He pleaded not guilty and was ordered detained during a hearing in a Brooklyn federal court. Later that day, he faces a mandatory minimum sentence of 7 years in prison and a maximum of 40 if convicted of the latest charges. That also according to prosecutors. Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says he will be on the ballot in all 50 states. In an interview with Fox News yesterday, Kennedy said he has enough signatures to be on all 50 states. He added that his campaign has handed in most of the signatures, but some of the states are not yet certified. According to a tracker by political media outlet The Hill, RFK Jr. is on the ballot in 15 states officially so far. He was certified on the Texas ballot this past Thursday. Former President Donald Trump held a rally in Montana last night. He spoke about some of the issues related to education.
On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto the lives of our children. We're not going to do it.
Trump went on to also say that he will cut federal funding for any schools that have vaccine mandates. A former senior advisor to President Biden is blaming the end of his re-election campaign to horrible attacks by Democrats and the press. In an interview with Politico, Anita Dunn said that Biden's poor debate performance against Trump was not the reason for his campaign's demise. She instead cited public comments from congressional Democrats, including former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, which casted doubt on Biden's candidacy and ability. After Biden ended his run, he then endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris to be the Democratic nominee. The former Illinois deputy who shot and killed Sonia Massey will remain in jail as his trial plays out. Brian Shook reports.
Last month, Sean Grayson shot Massey in her home after she called 911, and he's now facing first-degree murder charges. On Friday, a judge denied Grayson's request to be released on bail to accommodate his medical needs. The same day, Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell announced his resignation, claiming that the current political climate has made it nearly impossible for him to continue in his role. I'm Brian Shook.
At least 40 Olympic athletes, including U.S. track star Noah Lyles, have contracted COVID-19. A CDC official said in a briefing that many countries are seeing a COVID surge. Those who tested positive, including Lyles, are still competing. This year's games have largely returned to pre-pandemic norms, unlike the 2020 and 2022 Beijing Olympics, which had stricter rules around COVID. And more on the Olympics, Westchester County has another gold medalist in the Paris Olympics. Mount Vernon native Rai Benjamin, who won gold in the Olympic men's 400 men's hurdles. The Mount Vernon high school graduate ran past his two closest rivals in the race, rivals who held Benjamin to silver in the Tokyo Olympics and the last 3 world championships. Benjamin also joins Pelham's Kate Douglas, who won 2 gold medals and 2 silvers in her swimming events as the county's gold medalist in Paris. And the U.S. men's basketball team going for their 5th straight gold medal today at the Olympics. LeBron James and Team USA squaring off with home country France in the men's gold medal game. The U.S. advanced after knocking off Serbia with a huge comeback win on Thursday. James put up just the 4th triple-double in Olympics history, while Steph Curry poured in a game-high 36 points. France, led by Victor Wembanyama, is in search of its first-ever Olympic gold. Now, your forecast from the Ramsey Mazda Weather Center. Today, sunny with a high of 82 tonight. Mostly clear with a low of 68 tomorrow. Mostly sunny, high of 83. It's 75 and sunny outside our Midtown studios. I'm Liz Radabali. Remember, the news never stops at WABCRadio.com.
This is the James Golden Show with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Welcome, my friends. Our number duo is underway. The James Golden Show. Bo Snerdley here with you. One and the same, of course. The Saturday Vibe underway. Our number duo. We get a chance this hour to take more of your telephone calls. Those of you on hold, thank you for your patience. We'll be with you as soon as we can. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. It is time to check in with a Red Apple Media news anchor, Lizzie Aradaboli. Lizzie, how are you?
Good morning. I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing this morning, Bo?
I am doing great. As always a pleasure to be here on Saturday. Lizzie, the Olympics this is the weekend that it's all over, I believe. I think I read that somewhere. I mean, it can't go on another week. They did the breakdancing stuff. I think they have a basketball game left. That the woman boxer that with so much controversy won the gold medal and stuff like that. But there's a story about Simone, who is she, I don't know whether you know this off the top of your head, but is she now tied with Michael Phelps, or did she break the record for having most gold members in gold medals?
I have to double check that. I do know that the Olympics, you're right, they are coming to a close tomorrow. The closing ceremonies are tomorrow, but I have to double check Simone Biles if she has the record for the medals, if she, beat Michael Phelps. But she's just in the news because she's kind of involved in a lot of drama right now following her big win. She's in some internet beef.
Oh, internet. She's in an internet beef with who?
She's actually she's beefing with a former teammate of her own, Michaela Skinner. She was a former gymnast, rhythmic gymnast, and also gymnast with Team USA.
I'm sorry. What is a rhythmic gymnast? These terms. They go out and they shake in rhythm. What is a rhythmic? I don't get it. What does a rhythmic gymnast do?
Well, they typically specialize in those, different events. And I don't know if you've seen them with the ball or, with the banners, when they toss the ball up and they do a flip and they catch it.
I missed that.
Yeah, rhythmic gymnastics. It's a bit more, they play it at like 4 a.m. Like no one ever watches those events. They watch Simone Biles events like the floor, the vault, the beam. Those are kind of the mainstream events.
Okay. So what's she beefing about?
So Simone Biles got wind of this video that was put out by Michaela Skinner. She posted on YouTube kind of talking about the upcoming Olympics, her take, because she is a former Olympian herself. She won a silver medal. And she called the upcoming team lazy, lack of talent. She said they don't have the same work ethic that they used to. So, she took these shots at the Team USA, and Team USA fired back. I mean, Simone Biles, they won the gold in the group division, and then Simone Biles posted on Instagram, here we are, a bunch of lack of talent, lazy Olympic champions. So she called it like she saw.
I don't think I'm not mad at her for that.
Yeah, I mean, she is rightfully pissed. I mean, her ex-teammate is talking smack about her, and you don't swing first and then beg for the other person not to hit you back. I mean, and now Michaela Skinner, the whole thing it's still in the news because Michaela Skinner is, crying to the mainstream media and crying to Simone Biles, being like, tell your fans to stop coming after me, stop attacking me. And even if she tells them to stop, would they? Is there any guarantee?
Wait a minute. So this ex teammate launches on Simone and the Olympic, called them a bunch of lazy people, says they don't have talent. And then with Simone Biles, after they win and prove that they do have talent, she says, I guess the lazy, no talent people did okay. And now the person that launched the attack is saying, get your fans to back off because I don't like the backlash I'm getting.
Exactly. And, maybe that's lazy on her part. Why doesn't she just log off? I mean, she could simply close her computer, sign out of social media accounts. Cyberbullying is not an issue in real life. These people...
Cyberbullying.
These people are so far out of touch from reality. I mean, it's insane. And even if now she's saying, Simone Biles, tell your fans to stop attacking me. Even if Simone Biles makes some statement being like, oh, everyone who supports me, I love your support. Stop going after this girl, though. I mean, who is she? The commander general of her fandom? That's not how it operates. They don't wait for her beck and call and just do as she pleases. People within their own volition are going online and attacking her because they don't like what she said. They weren't ordered by Simone Biles. They're not. It's just, I don't understand what she really wants.
I think when you insult Simone Biles, it's similar to getting at Beyonce or Taylor Swift.
Yep.
There's such a dedicated fan base that it's the third rail.
Exactly.
Do not insult. It's America's sweetheart right now. She's in the Olympics. She's winning in the Olympics. The last thing you want to do is insult her.
Exactly. And she's also had such a comeback story. I mean, in 2018, we learned about the horrors about Larry Nassar and what he did to those girls. And she was one of those victims. She testified about the sex abuse that she endured. And then she went to the Tokyo Olympics in 2020 and was eliminated, had to drop out because she was struggling mentally, and then came back and wins the gold for Team USA. How could you ever think that people are going to be on your side?
I don't know. This whole thing is foreign to me, but I love your explanation. I know she kind of tweeted out something or put a post that was kind of anti-Trump out, and that raised my eyebrows a little bit, but I just, it's like the Olympics, so what? Moving on. David Copperfield. You sent me a story, Lizzie. I hadn't even heard about this story.
Oh,
David
blew
Copperfield. What the WT? What's going on?
Yeah, this is quite the illusion he's pulling now this time. Quite the trick. He has abandoned his multi-million-dollar penthouse in Manhattan, in Midtown Manhattan. He now lives in Las Vegas, where, of course, he works. And he's left it abandoned for 6 years, and it's just fallen into complete disrepair, so much to the point that it's like affecting the entire structure of the building, and they're concerned that the whole entire Galleria will be compromised, that it will be no longer, that everyone in this building will have to leave. And funny enough, this is the same building, 53rd floor. Eric Clapton's son has jumped up.
Really?
Yes, this is the same, one floor below where Copperfield's penthouse is. His penthouse takes up the 54th floor, and 53rd floor is where the Eric Clapton thing, that his son
his son fell out the window to his death, yeah.
Yeah, his terrible history with this building. So now it's being plagued by an entirely different issue. Copperfield, he's left all the systems, the plumbing, the ventilation, the valve failures. Like, he's completely left that on the back burner. No one's taking care of it. His indoor pool burst and sent flooding. It sent flooding 30 stories below. So people have been, struggling with this. Now he's facing a lawsuit. He's facing a lawsuit from the board of trustees at that building. They're saying, hey, you've caused $3 million worth of damage. And this is a $7.4 million unit. He bought it for $7.4 million in 1997. So granted, it's probably way more expensive now. But they say it's caused $3 million in damage. They're seeking $7.5 million, though, in punitive damage and fees. I looked up, out of curiosity, what a rent goes for in this building, because I was curious as an apartment.
Because you wanted to move in.
No.
Once he gets out.
I'm very happy where I just moved in Forest Hills.
Okay.
I'm a Queens girl for life. But the studios in this place run for $3,500 a month. Now, can you imagine paying $3,000 a month, more than $3,000 a month, for a studio that is, granted, only 600 square feet, and you are getting flooded by a magician's indoor pool because he hasn't kept up the maintenance in 6 years?
Are you saying that he's left the apartment in such disrepair that the building might actually have to disappear, though? This might be David Copperfield's greatest trick.
His greatest illusion
yet. He's going to change the skyline of Manhattan with his negligence on his apartment.
That may very well happen, because they're saying the whole structure is being affected. And, also something to note, this unit is giant. It's 15,000 square feet. And like I said, I just moved into a place in Queens, and that's 800 square feet. And when people come over, it's actually 875. When people come over, they're like, "This is huge. This is giant. This is huge." 19 of my apartments fit into Copperfield's penthouse. 19 of mine.
Well, you might be able to get a deal, Lizzie. I mean, come on, expand your horizons.
And he just left it.
Just call David. Tell him you'll do a fixer-upper. If he can just give it, whatever.
I don't have $7.5 million to fix up that joint, so I don't know.
Okay. All right. Now, the last story you sent me was on OpenAI. And we, of course, live in a world now that's being consumed by this ideal of artificial intelligence, where it's going chat GPT and all. What's the deal?
Yeah, so they're sounding the alarm that some people are actually getting attached to the AI. I don't know if you've seen the movie Her from 2013, but it's kind of
I missed that one.
Yeah, it's a Joaquin Phoenix, Scarlett Johansson. He basically falls in love with his computer.
Oh, wait a minute.
Device.
I think I saw like 5 minutes of it and got bored.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's may become reality, so it may be.
So now, how are they falling? Wait a minute. How are people falling in love with their AI? Help me understand this.
Yeah, so there's actually like a voice mode that ChatGPT has where you could fully have a conversation with it. You could speak back and forth, using a microphone feature and talk with the AI, talk with this robot.
Listen, are you trying to tell me that men are talking dirty to their AI and they're becoming attached to their AI girls? Is that where this is going? I hope not.
Oh, definitely. That's nothing new. That's not even new. But like this emotional attachment, that is something that
emotional attachment to something that doesn't exist.
Yes, because this new model that they have, it could detect human emotion based off of a selfie. So it begs the question, how long until they could replicate human emotion? How long until they know how to manipulate human emotion?
How long?
Yeah.
I mean, this ought to be interesting, Lizzie. I mean, really? People are... and now the concern is so much that people are warning people against becoming attached to their artificial intelligence friends.
Yeah, because it could be helpful for some people that are, isolated and, feeling lonely. They want to talk to someone. They just log on to ChatGPT and have a little conversation if they're, really that bored, I guess. But, it could also impact your actual in real life relationships, your healthy relationships. Those are being affected. I mean, people,
Skynet.
Exactly. Like, people are...
Skynet is here.
Getting drawn away from their human connections in place of the digital.
Skynet is upon us. It's happening now. Lizzie, thank you so much. As always, a pleasure to speak with you. And I leave you with these words, Lizzie. I'll be back.
Thank you, Bo. Noted.
James Golden, a.k.a. Snerdley. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. Keep it right here. What's up with this, Kev?
In Excess. It is, hang on. I lost his name, but it's the drummer's birthday.
From In Excess?
Yeah.
Yes. You're talking about John Farris.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yeah, from In Excess.
And this is their classic, Need You Tonight.
Need You Tonight. He's talking about his AI, apparently.
It's an ode to his laptop, yes.
James Golden, Snerdley with you. Keep it right here, 800-848-9222. We're coming back. Your call's coming up. Don't go away.
I've got to let you know.
The James Golden Show. 4 words that mean business. With James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Isaac Hayes. On his date in 2008, Isaac Hayes passed away at his home, Memphis, Tennessee, 65 years old. Wife found him unconscious. Of course, the theme from Shaft won an Oscar back in 1971. Great soundtrack. This is from the album Black Moses. He was also the voice of Chef on South Park. Boy, did they get into a dispute at the end of that one. And I found out, Kevin, you saw Isaac Hayes.
Yeah, I saw Isaac Hayes. I guess it was, now I'm just thinking about it, it was 2006, so it was 2 years before he passed away. B.B. King's Blues Club in Times Square, my 12th birthday. And my dad...
12 years old.
Yeah, my dad took me to go see him. I was a huge fan, and I still am. I was a strange kid. I'm surprised.
You're a great kid. That's amazing. Isaac Hayes, I went on my very first adult date to Madison Square Garden to go see Isaac Hayes.
Now that's
and that was a date. I took her to this joint, that was back before I was a vegetarian even, called the Steer Palace for dinner, and then we went to go see Isaac Hayes. And Isaac Hayes turned it out. What a musician. What an incredible talent. Isaac Hayes. Let's go back to the telephones here. James Golden, it's our Saturday morning vibe. Mark from New Jersey has been waiting for quite some time. Mark, how are you?
I'm James. I'm great, James. Listen to the show all the time. Love it.
Thank you.
So what I'd like to say about you're welcome. What I'd like to say about Governor Walz is to dive a little deeper on his resignation. If what am I trying to say? So when it has more to do with like the declaration of war against Iraq, when that happened, and then. I guess the point I'm trying to make here is this. If you were in the service in World War II, when war was declared, you were in for the duration of the war plus 6 months, meaning that you couldn't retire. You couldn't quit, short of getting out on a medical or something like that. So what I'm trying to say is I think to dive a little deeper, you got to look at, like, how war was declared in Iraq in 2002 because, you know, those people, the sergeants, they're the backbone of the service. You can't just let those people, I don't want to go, so I'm going to bail out. Do you follow what I'm saying?
I do follow what you're saying, but here's the thing. He had already served 20 years, and I don't know, obviously, they let him out, so obviously he wasn't required to stay in. Now, whether, as many of the soldiers in his unit apparently, or some of them, I don't know whether it's many, some of them are saying they saw it as an act of betrayal that he left. And so that's that on the record. I did not think that was enough to make a judgment on for me. The question that I wanted to know was, as alleged, did he lie about his military record and say he was in combat when he wasn't? We have the answer to that. He did. He said he was in combat. He was not in combat. To me, case closed. That is stolen valor. James Golden, Bo Snerdley with you here. Coming back, more of your telephone calls. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show. It's politics, but theater of the mind with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
This is my kind of town. Chicago is my kind
yes, chairman of the board. Old Blue Eyes. Frank Sinatra brings us back on our Saturday morning vibe here. James Golden, Bo Snerdley with you. Chicago, we just passed another musical anniversary. This one has a distinction in a class of its own. What was that anniversary? It was 2 days ago, right, Kev?
Yeah, Thursday on the 8th marked the 20th anniversary of what's called the Dave Matthews Band Chicago River Incident. If you're not familiar with this, in August of 2004, the Dave Matthews Band on tour, in their tour bus, was going across the Kinzie Street Bridge in Chicago and decided to be a great time to empty what's called the Blackwater tank on
the Blackwater tank.
Yes, which is a nice way to say the septic tank.
Ew. From
the tour bus. And just at the same moment happened to be a tour boat with an open roof deck going by, and 800 pounds of human waste landed on this boat. The result was the band had to pay a $200,000 settlement in order to settle. I guess with the city they had to settle, but jeez, I don't know if any kind of money can make up for something like that.
Well, you know, stuff happens. I mean,
yeah, literally. Yeah.
Chicago, by the way, is in the news today, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the headline. Comes from the Chicago Tribune this morning. Do you know that, ladies and gentlemen, I just read yesterday, has been banned as a greeting from Delta Airlines, part of a DEI initiative that started apparently some time ago. They stopped gate attendants from using the phrase, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to board, ladies and gentlemen, this, ladies and gentlemen, that, because, why do you think they stopped them? wasn't inclusive enough. Felt it might offend people. Yes, so they wanted to be more part of their DEI initiative. Stop using the term ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to stop using it. Here is it from the Chicago Tribune. Chicago inches closer to a city-owned grocery store after study finds it necessary and feasible. A city-owned. So now the city, I wonder what John Catsimatidis would think about this. You know, he is one of the most successful grocers. He and Margot are one of the most successful grocers in the world. I wonder what he would think about this, the idea that the city of Chicago is now going in the grocery business because it's necessary for the city and feasible for the city of Chicago to own its own grocery stores. Nearly a year after Mayor Brandon Johnson's administration floated the possibility of opening a municipally owned grocery store to help improve food access to the south and west sides, a feasibility study created for the city describes a municipal grocery store model as necessary, feasible, and implementable. So, the policy chief, S. Mayumi Umi Grigsby, yes, S. Mayumi Umi Grigsby, said internal and external working groups will work on finalizing a proposal for the store. This would be the first U.S. big city to do so. This is amazing. You know the reason they say they need a city grocery store. You know the reason. What is the reason for everything that the Democrats do? Take one guess. Why do they need? Take a guess. What do Democrats always say, whatever it is? What's the reason behind it?
Inequality.
That and
money.
Racism.
Oh, there you go. That's inequality, though. Isn't that fine?
Yeah, that's why I said this.
My question is, are they going to lock up everything in this grocery store? Like, I was trying to get soap the other day, and it was locked up at CVS. Took me a half hour to get somebody over there to unlock it. You know, razors, deodorant, everything.
Well, that would be an interesting question. The report says that decades of structural racism, segregation, and disinvestment have led to diminished resident density. Let's parse that for a moment. Structural racism, segregation, and disinvestment. Racism. Who's being racist? Who runs Chicago? Who has run Chicago for almost 100 years? John Catsimatidis just answered me. One of the most successful grocers in the world. He said Fidel Castro did the same thing in Cuba. Fidel Castro, the same move that we're seeing now in Chicago, Castro did this in Cuba. Okay. Structural racism, segregation means what? Means translation. The only black people in these neighborhoods. Really? Who runs the hood? And disinvestment. Now, that's one interesting word to me. Disinvestment. What is disinvestment? People are saying, I'm not putting money in that place and watch my money go down the toilet. Have led to diminished residential density. Translation, people are getting out. They can't stand it. They said disposable income and community infrastructure. It makes it difficult to attract and retain grocery stores in certain city neighborhoods. Let me cut through the bull, because this is a load of it that you just got. Here's the real deal. When you have communities that are run where you let criminals roam, and the criminals run the streets, where drug dealing is running rampant, where there's no education and failed school, and the entire community is a mess, because it's by the same Democrats that have been running the place for the last 100 years, and people say, guess what? I don't want to live in this neighborhood. And you know what? Grocery stores can't keep employees in those neighborhoods because they don't want to be shot. They don't want to be murdered. They don't want to be raped and put in and back in the freezer. And then have the criminals come out and do it all over again because the same Democrats won't keep people locked up in jail that are criminal. And so grocery store owners, I assume, John Katsimatidis, correct me if I'm wrong on this, please. Grocery store owners cannot operate a grocery store where people can come in and just steal to their heart's abandon, where the employees are not safe, where the customers are not safe, in neighborhoods that are not safe. And so store owners say, why should I put millions and millions of dollars, because that's what it takes to run a successful grocery store, if it's on a large scale, why should I invest millions of dollars into a store in a neighborhood where it's destined to fail and I lose money? Now, if I'm wrong, I'm willing to take it. But that's the way I look at this one. You have these crime-infested neighborhoods. You talk about on the south side. I've been on the south side of Chicago. My great auntie, I love her so much. My first business trip was to Chicago. I was going to hang out at WLS. I was in my young 20s. And while I was there, I stayed with my auntie on the south side of Chicago. It was safer then, but still, the stories were about, you got to be careful. You're on the south side of Chicago. It has gotten worse. You have Chicago neighborhoods, July 4th weekend, 100 people shot. I forgot the number of fatalities, but 100 people shot. And you know what? That's not an abnormal weekend in Democrat-run Chicago. You have kids on a regular basis assaulted, shot, afraid to go to school. And if they do go to school, they're not learning much anyway because the schools are failing. So you have this massive breakdown of community. And then you expect a grocery store, a private grocery store corporation or owner to go in there and set up shop in these crime-ridden hellholes? It's not going to happen. So instead of fixing the problem is entire communities that have been turned over to criminals and turned over to failures in education and turned over to the welfare state run by the Democrat Party. Instead of fixing the problem, now they want to say, well, since we can't get anybody to invest and put a decent grocery store in here, the city has to do it. And what's going to happen to the city-run grocery store? It's going to fail as well because they are going to face the same problems that private stores would face. Criminal behavior. A failure to have a neighborhood that can truly support it. The story goes on to say that the grocery business is notoriously tough. Operators forced to contend with razor-thin margins, high overhead costs, and a perishable inventory. Now think about that for a minute. Because everything that we read from Democrats says that if you have a business, you don't have to worry about razor thin margins. That's why they can increase the minimum wage like they did in California, like they did in Washington State, to over $20 an hour. Well, how can you do that on razor thin profit margins? You can't and have businesses succeed. High overhead costs, we're talking about labor. What do Democrats do? They want even higher overhead costs with all of the mandates that they put on businesses. Early detractors of the city's initial announcement about exploring a municipally owned grocery store expressed skepticism that Chicago would have the capacity or the expertise to operate a store. And think about that for a minute. These people can't even, and the expectations are they wouldn't even be able to run a store properly. What makes you think that they can run a government? They can't even run a store. And they don't understand apparently, or they're just ignoring why they believe these grocery stores are needed in the first place. Because of them. This entire article, to me, highlights the failure of life under liberalism, under socialism, under the Democrat Party in Chicago. Welcome to the DNC convention. Don't stay on the south side, apparently, or the west side, because you may not be able to eat. James Golden, Snerdley here. Beatles. Yes, twist and shout. We talked about it earlier on this day in 1964. 4 singles re-released by the Fabulous Four. Do you want to know a secret? Please, Please Me, Love Me Do, and Twist and Shout. Isley Brothers did a version of Twist and Shout that was really popular as well. W.A., The Beatles. James Golden, Bo Snerdley. Keep it right here, 800-848-9222. Do not go away.
The James Golden Show. The James Golden Show. It's politics, but theater of the mind with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
(1976) was the year. On this day, Elton John, Sir Elton John, played the first of 10 gigs that he had. Madison Square Garden in New York generated $1.25 million from the shows. That, at the time, broke a record that had been previously set by the Rolling Stones, same year. Or actually a year earlier, I think. Yeah, and today, that would be peanuts. You look at the money that Taylor Swift is bringing in. It's insane. Do you know those... Now, Taylor Swift, they had to cancel. She had some concert dates over in Europe. They had to cancel the whole shows because of terror threats. And there have been several arrests made. Do you know that almost 905,000 people, I read today, were scheduled to attend those Taylor Swift dates? Many of them had to travel and book hotel rooms and in order to see Taylor Swift, and they're just out of luck. The lawsuits are going to be plentiful. And the insurers that underwrote those gigs are said to be bracing for what is coming by way of what they will have to pay out because of the terrorist threats there that were made that forced the Taylor Swift concerts over there to be canceled. Let us head back to the telephone, shall we, and visit Queens, New York, with Earl. By the way, I want to just give a quick shout-out to the folks listening on Cairo in St. Louis. Congratulations for getting, for not re-electing in your primaries Cori Bush squad member. Second squad member that went down in flames. Cori Bush, another one. And Cori, I played during the week Cori's soundbite, lengthy soundbite, where she's saying that they are going to have an action against AIPAC, that they're going to tear the kingdom down. She's hot. She's annoyed. But as of January in the new year, she will be gone from Congress. Earl in Queens, you're up next.
Bo, the black community is so excited. They're twerking on stage in Atlanta. They're shucking and jiving. Kamala's going to do so much for the black people, and she doesn't even pick a black vice president. She could have picked a black vice president and started there, but that's kind of the story of the whole Democratic Party.
No, she couldn't. You know she wouldn't dare. And, look, Kamala Harris, when they first started with this DEI business with Kamala Harris, when Republicans first started saying it, I was like, oh, I don't know. But let's face facts. Joe Biden, Princess Diana, who will not be with us this week apparently, she's on vacation, and she told me that she would be perhaps traveling today, so this must be a travel day for her. I haven't heard back from her yet. Anyway, she sent me a clip of, and we had it, not a clip, she sent me this statement of Joe Biden, and I have to go find it. Because in this statement from Joe Biden, I'm looking for it right now, I'm scrolling through, Joe Biden pretty much admitted that she was a DEI hire. And he said it. And there was no mistake about it. He praised DEI, and he pretty much said, yeah, Kamala Harris is at the top of the list, top of the DEI list. And so that, we can no longer just ignore that. But that's the reason she would never be able to do that. The same reason she would never be able to pick another woman. Or she wouldn't have the guts to, I should say, pick another woman as a running mate. She wouldn't do it. And we know why Mr. Shapiro was thrown under the bus. And as for your comments about the shucking and jiving and the twerking, look, normally when I hear those things, I get a little red flag. Because, of course, shucking and jiving has a history as a phrase. But here's the deal. You bring on these rappers, you bring on all, and yes, they're out twerking, they're out doing this is what they want to appeal to black voters with. They did this down in Atlanta. All right, let's go out, let's bring some rappers, let's twerk, let's make sure they're out twerking on stage and doing the rest of it. And instead of really talking about the issues that affect these communities, the failing schools, the crime, the impact of illegal immigration on these neighborhoods. This is the presentation that they give intended for black voters to shore up the black vote. It is insulting. It diminishes what should be a serious campaign and serious discussions about the issues that are affecting these neighborhoods. But this is what the Democrat Party thinks of these voters. Don't appeal to their intelligence, because Democrats believe they don't have any intelligence to appeal to. Go on, bring on a bunch of rappers, bring on some entertainment, entertain them, and then ask them for their vote. It's disgusting. And I understand exactly why you would bring that up in the way that you did. Absolutely disgusting. My friends, here we are. Our number duo. Done. Our number trio coming up. Keep it right here. James Golden, the Saturday Morning Vibe. Don't dare go away.
The James Golden Show is on the air with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Our number trio, my friends, has arrived. James Golden, Bo Snerdley with you here, 800-848-9222. So glad you're here with us on a Saturday morning. We have such a good vibe that every Saturday we look forward to hearing from you and to being a part of this whole process during the election season, which is going to conclude. It's going to seem like a flash. I think we're about 86, 85 days, something like that, away from the election. It's going to go by very quickly. Democrat convention coming up. Look forward to that, of course. Red Apple Media did an amazing job of covering the Republican convention. Look forward to having some presence at the Democrat convention, and we will maybe have some sound from there to share with you when that happens. Debates are coming up, going to be lively. I'm a little bit disappointed that Donald Trump went back to the model of going on ABC for the debate on September 10th. I really did think he was going to avoid it and just go on Fox and some of the other networks. You know who, that reminds me, Deion Sanders was asked a question by a CBS reporter, network reporter, and Deion just said, "Where are you from?" Guy said, CBS. He said, "No, I'm not answering your question, and you know why." And I still don't know what's underneath it all. Apparently, the network did something to diss Deion Sanders, and he just flat out refused the question from CBS. And I said when I read it, I wish Republicans would do this. When you have these biased networks, just refuse. Refuse to play their game. Anyway, this is usually the time we hear from Princess Di. She is apparently traveling today. America's Small Caffeinated Mom is busy with family matters. It is you and I this hour, and I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to speak to as many of you on the telephones as possible. I have an article that I've been holding. It came out earlier this week, 2 days ago, from the Wall Street Journal, behind the movement to turn back the clock on gender roles. Now, this is a catchphrase that Democrats like to use when they talk about Republicans. We want to turn the clock back. And that fits their model. They are progressive, and we want to turn the clock back on their progress. I'll get to that in a moment. But one of the ladies in waiting from Princess Diana's entourage, the Lady Benedict, found the statement I was looking for in regard to the last caller who was talking about Kamala Harris, why she wouldn't pick somebody black. I said, look, and then she's not going to do that. Neither will she pick a woman. And this all goes back to the Democrat Party, their embrace on DEI, and all of a sudden you remember when people started calling Kamala the DEI candidate, there was a freak out with Democrats. At the time when that first began, Princess Di went back and got a quote from us from Joe Biden. The quote was from May 29th, 2024. Remarks by President Biden and Vice President Harris. She was there at a campaign event in Philadelphia. And this is what President Biden said on May 29th in the presence of Kamala Harris. I'm excerpting a longer speech, of course. He said, and this, by the way, Memorial Day was the occasion, celebration of Memorial Day. Together we make history, not erase it. Joe Biden then says, to me, the values of diversity, equity, inclusion are literally, and this is not kidding, the core strengths of America. That is why I'm proud to have the most diverse administration in history. that taps into the full talents of our country. And it starts at the top with the vice president. Joe Biden says Kamala Harris is a DEI pick. She represents diversity, equity, equality, and inclusion. What he says are the core strengths of America, and he's proud to have the most diverse administration in history. It starts at the top, the diversity, the D in the DEI, with the vice president, with Kamala Harris. So no question that DEI plays a role. So now let me turn back to this article in the Wall Street Journal. Husbands who head the household and go to work to provide for their family. Wives whose primary roles are homemaker and mother. A conservative vision of America has gained momentum among those who fear American culture has swung too far from their long-held ideal of what a family should look like, and in some quarters reject deviations from that view. They go on to talk about Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance's childless cat lady's comment. And then they say there's been a recent resurgence in defense of the natural family, according to William Wolf, a former Trump administration appointee, founder of the Center for Baptist Leadership. While some on the right, especially religious conservatives, have long endorsed restrictive views of families and gender roles, they have been energized by divisive national battles over social issues that seem to strike at the core of that vision: transgender rights, gay rights, and reproductive rights. The push comes in the midst of women's recent workforce gains and a falling birth rate being driven by rising childlessness. And this goes on and on and on to explain how Republicans want to roll back the clock and bring back the Leave It to Beaver families. But here's what they get wrong. Conservatives are not opposed to women having jobs. In fact, I would argue that the majority of conservative women in certain age groups work for a living. And they don't rely on federal handouts either. They work. Conservatives have long worked. They've never, ever said that I know of that women should not work. At the same time, many have said, hey, but they honor women who choose, keyword, choose to stay home with their families. Choose. The right to choice, that's something Democrats always bring. Oh, we're pro-choice. No, they're not. They're not pro-choice. They're pro-choice as long as you choose the ideology that they want. But they are not pro-choice people. All you got to do is look at schools for that, by the way. They don't want you to go to any other school but a government school where your kids are destined to fail, for the most part. This so-called conservative vision of America, their long-held ideal of what a family should look like, conservatives didn't come up with some long-held ideal of what a family should look like. Civilization came up with it. Human history. And why is that? Because, and scientifically this is still the case, It takes a man and a woman to have babies. And so man, woman in a relationship, children from that relationship become the nuclear family. This isn't something conservatives dreamed up. It goes as far back as the Garden of Eden and the commandment that we should be fruitful and multiply. How do you do that? It means men and women getting together, doing the grown-up, having babies. And then the babies grow up, and then they do the grown-up, and then they have babies. And one begats, and then that one begats, and they keep begatting and begatting and begatting. And what do you know? We have a world with 6 billion people that were begat. Because men and women begat them. This didn't come out of some handbook for conservatives. Now, what Democrats and liberals are doing is trying to tell us that everything that we know about the moral and spiritual and religious foundations of humankind are wrong. That no, you don't have to be a man or a woman to have a baby. Well, you do. That men can become pregnant. No, they can't. That boys can become girls. No, they can't. That girls can become boys. No, they can't. And that it is okay, in the case of people running, like this guy running for vice president now, it is okay that they should start trying to instruct boys that it is quite normal for boys to menstruate. And hence we need to have menstrual products in young boys' bathroom, part of their education. And people that are opposed to this, because they see this as just another step in this road of miseducation, willful miseducation, say, no, boys don't menstruate. We don't want our boys being propagandized too. I got news for you. It's not just conservatives that are alarmed by the duplicity that we see coming out of the liberal and social agenda. There are plenty of liberals out there who don't agree with this either. In fact, if you were with us in our first hour, we talked to Adam. Guy's a stone cold liberal. I asked him point blank when he raised the issue, why this tampon Tim business. Are you in favor of boys having tampons in their bathrooms at school, at grade school, junior high school? He said, no, I'm not. This is not a conservative issue. And to try to frame it as just conservatives is not working. It is disingenuous. And it is not and does not comport to reality. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. 800-848 WABC is the number. 800-848-9222 is the number to reach us. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. James Golden, Bo Snerdley, here with you. It is Saturday, enjoying the Saturday vibe. Yes, Kev. Sounds like Tom Jones, doesn't it?
Sure does.
1968 goes to number one across the pond. Delilah.
The James Golden Show. The James Golden Show. It's politics, but theater of the mind with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Never close your eyes anymore when I kiss your lips.
Today is the heavenly birthday of
There's no tenderness
Bobby Hatfield. The Righteous Brothers. 1965. You've lost that loving feeling. 1990, they had the big hit, Unchained Melody. Bobby passed away in 2003. The music, of course, lives on forever. I remember when they first came out, they got played on every stage. They were one of the first crossover groups, and they used to call these guys, if you listen to Black Radio, they used to call them the Blue-Eyed Soul Brothers. That's what the Righteous Brothers were called. Man, they just a great group. Always a great group. Yes, I have some instant. Your phone calls are coming up. Stay right there if you're on hold. I'm going to take your call soon. I don't really think I got feedback. There's anything wrong about the statement from Biden, James. Inclusion of everyone should have never been the exception, but rather the norm. It's about time the world figures that out. And it's been a long time coming. People think it's abnormal because going back to the beginning of time, there have been slave masters. The owners didn't do the work in the building in the world, generating the wealth from the sweat of their own brows. It was from the slaves that were stolen and beaten and forced to do all the work while never being given their due recognition and piece of the pie. It has nothing to do with DEI, but rather a catching up that is long overdue. Okay, where do I start? There's plenty wrong about the statement from Joe Biden. Plenty wrong with it. The values of diversity, equality, and inclusion are literally the core strengths of America. No, they are not. The idea is merit. And this is what Dr. King advocated for. The content of your character. Not the color of your skin, not anything else. Who you are as a person. What does diversity mean? What does equality mean? We don't live in a world where equality exists. Everything is equal. That is not the world. Some people do well because they have higher levels of achievement. They have because of their own work ethic. Everyone just doesn't get a chance. Oh, it's your turn. Here is success. It's your turn to have success. It doesn't work like that. You work for it. The choice to be the leaders of a country should not be based on the idea, well, we have to balance it out and make sure that we have enough brown people, enough red people, and we have to have equal numbers and make sure we include No. You hire the best at what they do. People earn it based on who they are, their character, not on their number, not on their color. Those are the strengths, the core strengths that made America a superpower. James Golden, Snerdley. We've got another half hour to go. Stay with us. Your call's coming up.
The James Golden Show. It's politics, but theater of the mind with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Born in 1948, American R&B pop jazz singer Patti Austin. She had this duet with Michael Jackson on, I think it's the Off the Wall album. She also had a very successful duet with James Ingram. Baby Come to Me, which, of course, some soap opera used to use that as a theme. But Patty Austin, for those of you that don't know, Patty Austin is one of the most highly regarded singers in the business of music. She's Quincy Jones' granddaughter. You can find her on a lot of the Quincy albums that were commercial successes. She is, I think she was one of the artists on the We Are the World album as well. Hundreds and hundreds of sessions for various artists. And there's one duet that she did that's not as well known, but to me is among her best. She worked with a Japanese artist, Yotaka Yokokura. Now, you can't find that album easily. I think the last time I looked to import it, just the vinyl was over $100. But the performance, Patty Austin is, as I said, one of the best in the business. Happy birthday, Patty Austin. James Golden, Bo Snerdley with you here. We are going to get to telephones first. I have to deal with one of the princesses, ladies in waiting. I don't have permission to speak for Princess Di. I'm just happy he's doing NBC. It's ABC. Just shows he won't back down. He survived an assassination attempt. He will be victorious with the debate on NBC. It's on ABC. Now, you're right. The princess didn't give you permission to speak. However, if the princess, and we'll hear from her next week for sure, if she thinks that this debate on ABC is a good idea, she and I will have words, because it is not. I'm not saying Trump won't win, but he staked out a position. He said, I'm not doing the debate on ABC. I'm suing them. And why is he suing them? Easy. Because Stephanopoulos lied over and over again, calling him a rapist. And if you go back and you look at the history of debates, presidential debates, and you look at Stephanopoulos' performance, he's tried to sabotage every single one with the choice of questions on down, especially that first question he hit Mitt Romney with that had absolutely nothing to do, straight out of the Democrat Party handbook. He is not a journalist. He is a DNC operative, a Democrat Party hack posing as a journalist. So, for those reasons, when President Trump said he's not doing the debate on ABC, I said, good. He said he's going to do it on Fox. Kamala Harris and her team went out, and they kept saying, he's a coward. He won't do it on ABC. He won't do it on ABC. And now, of course, he's doing it on ABC. So what does that look like? It looks like he caved to Kamala, which is not a good look. Now, I'm sure he had much, and I'm not accusing him of doing that. I'm saying that's what the optics are. Not a good look. Now, do not take that as me being critical of President Trump. He will perform, and he always does knock it out of the park, especially when the expectations are being raised that Kamala is some sort of savior. She's not. They won't even, for goodness sake, put her unscripted in a press conference. They're so afraid. But I'm just saying, why didn't he just stick to his guns and say, yep, it's going to be Fox and no ABC? That's all. I'm getting more. Of course, it's merit. I didn't say put a person in a position they're not qualified for. Well, that's what DEI is. We're looking to reach quotas and numbers. If not, there would be no need for DEI. And you can see it affecting everything and every business in America. Obviously, I've never faced the situation. Somebody telling me I haven't faced situations on race in business? Really? You don't know my history. Anyway, but I insist, DEI is not what America is all about. It never has been about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Of course. Of course, those are noble things in the finest sense of the word. Of course, people shouldn't discriminate. But I got news for you. People discriminate on all kinds of things. Ask people that are overweight. Ask the ugly. The ugly know who they are. I'm borrowing that from Rush. Ask the ugly. They get discriminated against all the time. People get discriminated against. Human nature. You know what happens in homogeneous societies where people can't find somebody different than them? They discriminate among themselves. That's how a caste system is born. That's what human beings do. Is it right? No. But here's the thing. If you say something is merit-based, that's the end of it. I got here because of my merit, because of my track record, because of what I do, not because of what I look like, not because I have a certain amount of melanin in my skin, or not because someone's trying to reach a quota number that says I have to have you in too to meet the quota numbers. Once you introduce quotas, and that's what DEI is, once you introduce quotas into anything, then you are saying merit takes a second place. Period. Telephones. Let us go to Janet in New York. Janet, welcome. How are you?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. What's on your mind this morning?
I'm calling about Governor Wentz and his military service.
Yes.
I'm a retired Navy chief, and during the Iraq wars, I was a single parent, and I could have easily gotten out of the reserves, but I didn't. And I stayed in through 2001. I got recalled after 9/11 and did my service. And I retired, and I'm very proud of my service. And anybody that gets out because they might get recalled and have to go to active duty, that's very shameful.
If that is, and if that was his reasoning, and this is the only thing that I will say about that. Look, the man served, and please, I guess I am defending this aspect of him. The man served 20 years in the military. I have immense respect for anybody that serves in the American military, period. Now, I am still not sure of the timeline of when he chose to resign. Some of the troops he served with said they feel betrayed. Others have not spoken on it. We haven't heard from everybody that he served with. So for that reason, I always thought, well, I felt a little bit squeamish about going after him, saying, oh, he quit right when this happened. That is in dispute. But here's what is not in dispute. And this, to me, settles the entire issue. Kevin, we have played the clip twice. Let us play it one more time. Soundbite 4, Tim Walz. And this is what was uncovered that he said.
Hope woke up like many of you did 5 weeks ago and said, Dad, you're the only person I know who's in elected office. You need to stop what's happening with this. I'll take my kick in the butt for the NRA. I spent 25 years in the Army, and I hunt. And I gave the money back, and I'll tell you what I have been doing. I've been voting for common sense legislation that protects the Second Amendment, but we can do background checks. We can do CDC research. We can make sure we don't have reciprocal carry among states, and we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
Okay. That ends it. He was not in combat. He was not in a war zone. He said the weapons of war that he carried in war. By the way, I have another story here of Nancy Pelosi referring to him and his combat history. This was something that was well known, that he had apparently well known, that we are just now took days to actually get this to come out, this soundbite. He has said that he was in combat. He wasn't. To me, that's end of story. That is what stolen valor is all about. Janet, thank you. And we love you and appreciate your service, Janet. Thank you for calling. Jeff in South Carolina, you're up next.
Hi, Bo. Thanks for taking my call. I really like your call. I enjoy it. I like your show. I enjoy it a lot. So
Thank you.
Just played the video. You just played the video, the audio, and he said, "I spent 25 years in the Army, and I gave all the money back." Everybody's focusing on the stolen valor. It defies credulity for me to believe that he gave 25 years of his salary back.
That's not. Let me explain to you what he's saying. This clip is he was talking about the NRA. And what he's saying is, I hunt, I fish. And for a long time, he had gotten good marks from the NRA. And so they gave him a donation. And he said he gave the money back. He's not talking about the service. He gave the donation back to the NRA. Because he was opposed to them. He wants background checks. He did not want reciprocity in terms of concealed carry. So he's telling his audience he disagreed with the NRA, and he gave them their money back. But he's at the same time saying, I'm a hunter. I've also done this, and the weapons that I carried into war. Blah, blah, blah. So that's the context of it. He wasn't saying anything about giving the money back that he earned for his career in the service, Jeff.
Okay, I understand.
Got it. Okay, thank you so much for your call. Appreciate it. Let us go to Joe in Brookhaven. Joe, how are you?
Good morning, Bo. Bo, this is one of the greatest shows I've ever listened to you. It's spot on everything. I'm just listening for a long time, but what was I going to say? A little nervous here. The Leave It to Beaver, I heard Spike Lee say that about 20 years ago. What Leave It to Beaver is God's family and country. And I always say, don't black people, Hispanic, and Asian people want that too? What's wrong with that? Trump advocates to have children. He wants Americans to reproduce. He said that. Kamala wants to kill the baby at full time, her and Walsh. She's the abortion queen from Planned Parenthood. If you don't mind, I wanted to speak on Joy Reid clip you played earlier. You said she's used the world through the prism of racism. Yes, but it's more black and white. And Kamala Harris has always been the same way, and Barack Obama. They can't help themselves. They are Louis Farrakhan and Al Sharpton disciples, and they would never allow her to pick a Jewish guy, at least Louis Farrakhan, the anti-Semite, openly. Never allow him to be a heartbeat away from the presidency. And Walsh is Harris's patsy, white patsy, just like Biden was Obama's. 13% blacks in the country. They would have never elected Obama if he didn't have good old Uncle Joe. That's straight out of Obama's playbook.
Okay, now listen. First of all, let me just take issue, and I'm going to push back gently on some of that. Some of that is speculation, and I understand the points you're making. Here's what I think. I think the American people are better than that. I think Obama actually, let me put it like this. If Obama was up against McCain, for goodness sakes, Obama was selling hope. He was selling change. He never told people what he was really going to do. He did say he was going to fundamentally transform things, but he didn't say how. So here you have Obama, as Joe Biden says, this articulate, or as Harry Reid said, the articulate guy knows how to speak the Negro dialect. That was from Harry Reid. So you had Obama, who's this young candidate, kind of JFK-ish in terms of the young, the energy and all that stuff. And he's going to bring about hope and change, si se puede, et cetera, et cetera. America said, ooh, I like this guy. You have John McCain. McCain. What's John McCain about? To this day, somebody tell me the appeal of John McCain. There wasn't any. I happen to think the American people, when they look at two things like this, they say, no, I'm not going to go with that other guy who's Mr. Negative, Mr. Growly. I'm going to go with I think Obama would have won. It didn't have to be Joe Biden. I think he would have won. I mean, period. Against McCain. And the politics was smart. Okay? I think if Obama had actually governed like he campaigned, Republicans would have been in a world of hurt. He turned out to be just the left-wing radical that he is. And on that, I agree with you. As for Farrakhan Farrakhan doesn't have any influence in Kamala Harris' camp. Let's not go overboard with that. He's a pariah. A useful pariah, because when they need him to drag out in front of a select crowd, he's there. But Kamala Harris has her own problems. She's a radical liberal, and so is this guy, Walsh, that she's got as her vice president. And I'll leave it there. I appreciate the remarks that you made about the show. Thank you so much, Joe. We're going to take a quick break. Come back. More of your telephone calls coming up. What, Kev? What's up?
This is New Edition. Candy Girl. Born 1968 is Michael Bivins of New Edition.
You know what? Can I be totally frank with you?
Go ahead.
I couldn't stand New Edition.
Eesh. Okay, sorry.
It's like this was... Okay, after the Jackson 5, we had the Osmonds, Jackson Light. And then all these years later, we get this imitation Jackson 5.
It does sound like store brand. You get like the Rice Krispies, and then they have crispy rice at the grocery store. This is the crispy rice of the Jackson 5.
Right. It's,
Johnny Gill.
Who, Johnny Gill?
They added Johnny
Gill. Oh, after they added Johnny Gill. I didn't care. The first time I heard New Edition, I'm like, take this off. Come on. It still hurts my ears. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not.
Changing up the Candy Girls here. We'll go with the Four Seasons to appease. I don't want to cause any trouble here, Bo.
Thank you. Oh, great. Nice one, Kev. James Golden, Snerdley with you here. 800-848-9222. More of your calls coming up. Keep it right here. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show. The James Golden Show. It's politics, but theater of the mind with James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Last bumper of the day, iconic one. James Griffin birthday today, guitarist, songwriter, Bread. This one went to number 1 in the United States, and number 5 across the pond. I think one of the most beautiful songs ever written. I want to make it with you. James Golden, Bo Snerdley with you. We have time for some telephone calls, and we're going to do that. Let's check in with Rich in New York, who's been holding a while. Rich, what's on your mind?
Good morning, Bo. Thank you. Did you catch Ben Stiller this week virtue signaling to the black population?
Yeah, I heard him.
Okay.
He said all Jewish guys secretly want to be black.
Right. But what he really said is he wants to be Michael Jordan or Denzel Washington. He wants to be strong and masculine. Do you think he wants to be like Rodney King or Walter Hudson? And he meant.
I don't know. Here's what I would be. Here's what I would think that he might want to be. I think he might want to actually be funny.
That's the problem, though. If he would just go in character and never come out, he would be all right. But can you just recommend a neighborhood that he could move to if he really?
No, I can't. When I read that, I just dismissed it. I'm not, as you might be able to tell, I'm not a huge fan. I don't want to say anything bad about the guy. I don't know him. He's probably a nice guy and all the rest of that. But I just read that and I'm just like, okay, more pandering. Turn the page, next story. Hey, Rich, I appreciate your call. Thanks so much. Let's go to Pat in Long Island quickly. Pat, you're up next. Hi, Pat.
Hello, thank you. Hi, thank you for taking my call. Love your show, love your music more than anything.
Thank you.
Anyway, a little earlier in the show, you had said that Trump had paid by taking.
I said that's what it looks like. To some people, that's what it looks like.
He went on CNN. Remember that, and that's not our backyard. He
went on CNN with Joe Biden, and he said after Joe Biden canceled and they threw him under the front wheels of the bus. They would throw Josh Shapiro under the back wheels of the bus later. He said, I'm not going on there. I'm not doing it. And now he's doing it. That's a cave. You don't see it that way.
But he was on CNN, so the guy's great. What can I say? He'll take her apart.
I agree with that statement. You know I'm a huge Trump supporter, period.
I know that.
Period. So there you go. Pat, love hearing from you. Thank you. I appreciate your call. Thank you. Let's go to Sandra in New Jersey.
Hey, James. Good morning. I yesterday when I called you, I wanted to talk about something. I don't know if I have time now, but it's regarding that law that Gavin Newsom signed, saying that parents don't have a right to know if a child wants to change his sex. And in the article it says this law helps keep children safe while protecting the critical role of parents. And what I wanted to say on that you know what that means? It means that they don't want to have any politicians coming to the home. They don't want any teachers coming to the home to cause a problem. So they'll keep it quiet.
Okay. And so we got the point, and I love it. You made it. We have to go. May God bless and protect each and every one of you, your families, and your loved ones. We'll be back next week. Hopefully we'll see you then.
This is New York's talk leader, the crown jewel of talk radio. WABC New York and 107.1 WLIR Hampton Bays.
77 WABC News starts now.
77 WABC News, 59 past the hour. It is 79 and sunny on this Saturday, August 10th. Good morning. I'm Liz Radabali. The hunt is on for two suspects who beat up an elderly woman in the Bronx. Cops say a man and a woman walked up to an 82-year-old woman around 7 p.m. Friday, August 2nd, along East 212th Street and White Plains Road in the Williamsbridge neighborhood. They punched her multiple times and slammed her head to the ground and then stomped on her body. They then fled the scene. The woman ended up in the hospital in stable condition. Some news that's not so sweet. The Museum of Ice Cream's New York City location being sued by a visitor who claims he broke his ankle there. It happened when Jeremy Shore visited with his young daughter back in March of 2023 after he jumped into the so-called sprinkle pool. He says it wasn't a reckless move, with his lawsuit pointing out that the museum's social media posts encourage visitors to take the plunge, but that the